All right, so we're live. How's everyone doing? Hi, Miranda. How are you? Assuming the sound is good. So I'm just going to go over a couple of things here as usual, and then we'll get into questions. Let's see. All right, yeah, so market's kind of just grinding higher here today. We're looking at the SPY here in the upper left corner, as always. And a nice rally for the NASDAQ up 7/10. S&P up 0.4 there. Let's take a look at the diamond. Diamond was up 2/10, and then the Russell chopped around, was negative earlier. Russell kind of just chopping around, but did finish up 2/10 here. It is OPEX week. I do think we probably fade this rally sometime tomorrow. Maybe we gap higher tomorrow morning. I think that gets faded though. I think we have a red, green to red day tomorrow, so a gap higher and a red close. And I expect more selling Thursday, Friday. The reason for that is it is OPEX week, and this was a really bullish day. And every time you have a really bullish Monday, Tuesday during an OPEX week, it usually ends in a reversal. We saw the same thing kind of in June, or yeah, right there in June, we had a nice open to the week and rolled over. Same thing in July, August. So we even had it back in February and in March there. It's very typical of that. And we also have to be careful of Friday because we have a full moon Friday, and typically the market likes to trade down into a full moon and then up afterward. So we talked about possibly a pullback into OPEX week, and then maybe an end of year rally. That's kind of what a lot of people are thinking is going to happen. There's a lot of people out there. Oh, we're going to get the Santa Claus rally, and that's set in stone, and SPX 5100 by the end of the year. And I don't really see anything wrong with that theory. The problem I have with it is that everybody is saying it. So I really don't like when everybody's all on one trade like that. But it is setting up to be, in that way. And we do have that full moon has worked for months and months now. So, but I do think we fade this into the end of the week. But there's a lot of calls out there, by the way. Like look at Tesla. We'll talk about Tesla too. Like you think about how many retail investors were buying calls up here that got slammed, and they are defending this 1,000 handle. That's probably, if I had to guess, I bet you they close it Friday right on or below. So it'll be like $1,000 and 1,005 or like 998 or something like that. They probably pin it right there by the end of the week. I still think your buy area on Tesla though is this 900 handle. Probably gets a little bit through that though. I would think if they're going to slam it down, everybody's going to be trying to buy this gap fill and the 900. I think it probably pierces that, gets down to like 880. So I think that would be a good area for to Tesla for if you're looking for a quick long there. Nvidia reports tomorrow. So that will be market moving. That Nvidia is definitely a market mover. That's going to move stocks like AMD. It's going to move the semiconductors. I mean, the semiconductors basically is AMD and Nvidia now. Intel is supposed to be a large part of the semis, but they just really aren't anymore. And that's just how it is. But semis are going to move tomorrow off those Nvidia earnings. Qs are going to move tomorrow off the Nvidia earnings. Walmart got slammed today, down 2.5%, which is a big move for Walmart. Big cap company like that, down 2.5%. Right into this, should have some support in this gap fill and 200 MA there, but getting hit off of earnings this morning. Weekly time frame still holding up perfectly fine though. This is actually nothing wrong with Walmart there. Peloton announced a share offering this morning, so that stock got a nice juice, up 15%. And this could be a case of, see, it looks like that 50 handle is getting defended. I was looking at, you can see I have this alert here. Let's pull it back. There's a daily time frame. So I was getting ready to maybe look at $40 for a possible buy on this thing. So I had an alert for 41 just so that, when it gets down there, I get alerted. But if 50 didn't hold, that was my area. But it looks like they might defend 50. And you might say, well, they're doing a share offering. Why is the stock rallying? It could just be as simple as the bad news is priced in now. And that's it. Like that, this is as bad as it can get. 50 handle, that could hold up. But if it does lose that, it's going down to $40. If it rallies here and can't get above this red bar, this high here at what's it, 60? Well, so we'll call it 62. If it can't get above that, it's probably going to head back down to 40. But nice little pop for Peloton there. Let's talk about, so Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin getting hit a little bit here. I have never seen an asset class that, I mean, look at how, so obviously the dip is being bought a little bit here, but look at every time Bitcoin, the same thing on Ethereum, but every time there's a dip in crypto, it's like there's never, it's like so bullish. People get so bullish that they can't wait. They can't wait for it to just dip a little more. They have to buy the immediate first downtick, but there's always this wick candle. Look at how there's always a wick candle. Look at that long tail there, you know, long tail right here. I've never seen that in any asset class where you just get those dip buyers. They just can't wait to buy, you know, and it's pretty remarkable. But obviously the area here on Bitcoin that I'd be looking for is the yellow trend line. If it breaks through that, and that would probably coincide with the 50 MA, which is upsloping. But if it breaks through that, you know, you're gonna have some support here at about 52, but you'd probably head back to 50,000. Then you have the 100 and the 200. That would be very good support for Bitcoin there if that were to break. But you know, it's holding up for right now. Technically, this is still a higher low. Nothing really wrong with it, but it, you know, took a nice little dip today. Ethereum, obviously, same kind of thing. Ethereum is losing the 20 MA though, but in all fairness, this is a really steep. I mean, look at this. You know, look at how steep this ascent was. So not surprising to see Ethereum come back. You'll have support right there at about 4,000. Then you got the 50 MA below that. So Bitcoin, Ethereum dipping a little bit. And they are kind of following small caps. You notice how, you know, we talked about this a few months ago. Yields in small caps are kind of trading with crypto and you know, stocks like Tesla, you know, into this risk on kind of blow off environment. Yields pushing up again today. Just keep looking for a pattern to buy this, and it just doesn't give us one. It's just yields have been strong, and it's helping out the small caps. It's helping crypto, but Russell 2000 still kind of flirting with this low here again. You don't want to see it close below 234 on a weekly basis. So you want to see it hold that, but if it can hold that, then it can be a buy. So you know, this is your buy area here on the Russell, and obviously it'd be a tight stop. So I'd say that's a pretty high risk reward trade if someone was looking to take that. Let's just talk about energy a little bit. Oil not really doing a whole lot today. Again, just kind of just chopping around. It's been kind of all over the map, up, down, up, down. I think ultimately what it's doing is it's setting up for a move to 90 bucks. So you have this really sharp increase, and now you're getting a little bit of a pullback. And if we go back out to the monthly, it just looks like it's trying to get up to that 90 handle to me. So it just got to, you know, consolidate a little bit because it just had such a sharp run. You know, it's just running out of gas. It needs to consolidate a little bit before it can get up there. But again, not really much going on outside of that as far as today is concerned. Though I do want to talk about nat gas though. I talked about this in the patrons only video. So this neckline here on nat gas, just extend it out. So we triggered the head and shoulders on Friday. Here's our close. And now you'd say, well, oh, as of yesterday, this pattern's negated. Well, it's not necessarily true because on the weekly, you could still close back below this neckline by Friday. This pattern is still in play. So it is triggered on the weekly and daily time frames. So therefore, this pattern's not negated just yet. So interesting little thing there on nat gas, but it's holding up for now. And, you know, we'll just kind of give it the benefit of the doubt here. So let's talk dollar, and then we'll get into precious metals. Dollar again ripping higher. You know, it's going to have some resistance. I mean, it's probably going to run out of gas around, you know, you got this breakdown area. So probably around 98, or excuse me, 98, 96.38, 96.40. You'll probably run into resistance, maybe around 96.20. You got this red bar here. But dollar's just holding up, and I talked about this bullish pattern for weeks and weeks, and it is playing out to the upside very nicely. So dollar is on the move still, and that's not affecting precious metals. So gold is pulling back a little bit. Your buy area on that is right around here, 1840, 1835. That would be your back test of the breakout. Gold did get a little extended. You know, there's the 20 moving average right there. So it just, you know, it's just got to pull back into that. And silver, same kind of deal. And same deal on silver as nat gas. So we close below this inverse head and shoulder neckline. The pattern's not negated yet because this is a weekly pattern as well. So if you close back above this neckline by Friday, this pattern is on. So again, we just got to continue to monitor that. On silver, palladium also getting a nice juice finally. It was beat down pretty badly, got out of this flag pattern, now getting a nice bid today. It's got to get above that 2200 area though, and then it can go and attack the 2300 area, around that 100 moving average. That's where you broke down there. Platinum pulling back a little bit as well, but should have good support right here. So this isn't a bad area to buy at platinum. You could take that like with a PPLT or something of that nature, or you could just trade platinum futures. Doesn't look like there's too much more here. Pot stocks have been talked about pretty heavily. Tilray, this one is all over Wall Street Bets, as is Sundial. So these ones had a nice pop. We were in Aurora Cannabis and CGC. We took profits on both of those. And I don't think these stocks are quite ready to, I think they are going to move pretty soon, but I don't think they're quite ready. We do have OPEX. And again, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot, and I mean a lot of calls in these things. And, you know, the institutions do not want to pay those premiums. So they're probably going to burn those out. They're probably going to, you know, force these things to trade sideways for the next couple of days into the end of the week. And then I think after that, if they're still holding up okay, then we can look at them for a long play. But, you know, right now, I still like the sector, but I think it just needs to do a little bit of backing and filling. Let's just look at EEM for Tiger. That was a request. So I kind of talked to you about this a little bit. There's really not much going on in there. I mean, it's just a lot of chop. It's chop city here. Same thing on the weekly. It's just a lot of chop. The trend is up. The monthly is the only pattern or only time frame that's clear to me. So we do have, you know, trend is up. It's not extended, not overbought. I like the pattern. You're up. You went parabolic. Now you're pulling back, and you're pulling back into support. So if you want to buy, this is kind of your area. You got the 20 moving average up sloping underneath. The only problem I have with this is every time it's gone parabolic, right here, you know, right here, every time it loses that 20 MA, it crashes. So that would be the only, you know, warning signal I would you know, point out here, is that if it loses that 20-month moving average, it's probably going to tank, and, you know, there's not going to be a bottom to it. But as of right now, it's, you know, it's looking okay. So, and I mean, this is, if there is an area to buy, this would be it. So you've got, you know, this is where you couldn't break out of, you broke out of it, and now you're back testing it. So that would be your buy area if there was one. I think that's it that I had for everything. I do have a little bit of announcement. So some of you guys may remember I was talking about having like a website outside of Patreon, and that would just overtake Patreon at some point. That's still kind of on the back burner, but I want to continue working on that a little bit. And I have a website that's almost done, but I do need a few volunteers, possibly for like beta testing, because there is a mobile app, and there will be a mobile app with it that'll work kind of how like Patreon does. And, you know, it'll be like a blog that also works in a similar way that I use the chart alert or the trade alerts for Patreon. But I need a few like volunteers to like help me beta test it, just to make sure that everything works. But everything will be moved over there, and I'll do a formal video on it probably tomorrow for in Patreon. But it's going to have like, it'll have like a members forum. That way it's, you know, there'll be like a whole area where we can just talk to each other instead of just on the comments of like the posts that I make, but there will be like a whole forum for everybody, and just, you know, a bunch of other cool stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know about that, but I'll probably do a full video on that tomorrow just so everybody can see. But I would like a few volunteers if I can get them to just, you know, just make sure that everything works, and like, you know, there's no delays and so on and so forth, and the app works and it's not clunky and everything. But yeah, pretty excited about that. Yeah, so let me get into some questions. So let's get up here. Yeah, Jordan, let's look at Disca, and I'll pull up the FTSE in a minute. Oh yeah, Disca's doing good. So we talked about that 20, what did I say, 25.50 area, got above that. Now we're above 26.63. So this is doing everything you want it to do, I like the green volume here. Look at the volume increase. It's funny, all these jerks got in and out of this. So Soros sold back in August or September. Michael Burry got out of it, and now all these whales are getting out of it. Now it's rallying. By the way, Michael Burry might go down as the all-time, like, I don't know, dunce or whatever you want to call it. If this market tops out and Tesla tops out soon, he's going to look terrible. But he was one of those who sold Disca pretty much at the lows. But he also sold all his bear positions and gave up on the inflation trade recently. So yeah, just side note there. But Disca is doing very well. I like it. So you're going up here. You had a nice move up, and now you're just consolidating sideways. You're consolidating to take out this pivot here. So you're stuck, you know, in this tight range between 30 and 27 for like 3 months. So there's a lot of shares in there. So it's got to consolidate to get through that. But if it gets through 30, I mean, there's really no reason it can't go right up to 35. So that's, I'm liking that chart there. Let's take a look at Viacom as well. I always like to look at both of these together. See, Disca's outperforming Viacom. Viacom looks like it wants to go down to 30. But Viacom would be a huge buy in this area, though. Right in that area. Maybe a good area on Viacom. Let's take a look at the FTSE. Give me 1 second here. All right, there we go. Okay, so FTSE got above these levels. All right, so I remember we talked about this 6,800 level. This back tested a couple times, it's held, and so yeah, FTSE may be on a little bit of a breakout here. Let's see. Let's go back to... I don't have enough data here. Let's see. There we go. That's better. Okay. So you're still going to have resistance. Okay, so I like what it did here. So you got this red bar. We're looking at a monthly chart, by the way. Or no, weekly, sorry. Weekly. So there's a lot of resistance here at this red bar, right around 7,500, 7,400. And I like what you did. You went up and you went sideways. So you're taking out the shares, the sellers that would be here. So this can get through that. Let's see. This only goes back 5 years, but yeah, I mean, you're probably gonna run into resistance around 77, but this can get through that. It can go higher. But there's going to be it's going to have some chop in here. It's not going to go straight through that, I don't think. But I like what it did here. I like the consolidation. That's good. That's what you want to see after a nice move up like that. But yeah, that's where all the sellers are, because that's where all the buyers were that have been stuck in this the whole time. So they turn into sellers when you get to break even. But I like that consolidation. That should help you get through that a little bit. I don't know how much more upside it has. And basically, the long and short of it is, if the S&P turns down, everything, all this stuff turns down. But for now, it's doing okay. So, you know, nothing terrible there on the FTSE. I think, yeah, Clayton, I think I'll probably be in some type of gold play by the end of the week. Gold or silver. This is your buy area here. There's really, I can't find anything wrong with this pattern here. So you've got like this inverse head and shoulders. It's clear as day. And typically, you know, when you have a thrust up like this with an inverse head and shoulders or a head and shoulder pattern, either or, you're not just going to go straight through it. Like, I've seen it happen. Sometimes it does happen, but it's rare. Usually you got to hit it once and then pull back, and then you go up. It does, happen every now and then, though. We saw it on Aurora, right here, where we went up and then we just gapped above it. It gapped right above it and said, okay, there we go. But it's very rare, especially with an asset as big of market cap as gold, that it's just going to gap through that. But so you're hitting resistance. I told you 1880 would be resistance. It was. It's pulling back. And this is your, this is your buy area. If you want to take a shot at it, there's no better. This is, if you're not going to here, then where? Because the 20 MA is going to slope up and it's going to catch up to price, and that's going to it's going to act like rocket fuel. Or at least that's the idea. It could fail. There's nothing to say it can't fail, but this is as good as opportunities you're going to get. And I like silver too. So we're looking to get into that, probably SILJ or something like that as well. Maybe GDX or WPM or something like that. But yeah, I'm pretty bullish on the metals right now. They're acting very well. Yeah, the Fed chair. If they move away from Powell, they're all kind of the same, but it's like, how much more dovish do you want him to be? But I've heard chatter that Brainerd isn't even eligible for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I read something about that. But if anything, that might spook the markets a little bit just because of uncertainty. So that could be a positive for gold, because gold can be an uncertainty play. But I just know what the charts are saying, and the charts are saying there's nothing wrong with PMs right now. URNM. So let's take a look at URNM. I'm just going to look at spot uranium real fast also. Okay, so let's take a look. Are we seeing the same thing on URA? Yes, we are. Okay, so the one thing I could say about this maybe is that the uranium market is very thin, like specifically uranium futures. You guys want to take a look at it? You see how like it's all just like gaps, and like there's hardly any volume. Whereas if you look at the URA or the URNM or even, Cameco or Denison, it's just spot uranium is so thin that it's hard to say. Like you got to use like spot uranium as like a general direction for the price, but like the intraday ups and downs of it are not always going to be reflective of like where price is actually headed. So I would almost argue that URNM, URA, and CCJ are better trackers of like the price of uranium, just because they're not as thin, if that makes sense. But uranium's holding up altogether. These plays are holding up. I still think they're pretty overbought, but they're holding up fine. And nothing wrong with them. But we talked about this. I've been bullish on them for quite a while, and I know you guys are too. So I'm liking the uranium plays. They're acting well. So for steel, I don't think steel is on Thinkorswim. I think it's on TradingView though. Steel's another one of those thinner like commodities that it's harder to track. But I believe TradingView has steel futures on there. I would do a Discord server, but I don't really I'm planning on doing some type of like webinar or trading course at some point, but I don't want to do a full day Discord server, just because I like having like my daily routine the way it is. But there'll be a forum, and like it'll be up to the minute. It'll be just like text messaging. It's just a forum. But I don't know. We'll talk about stuff, and we'll figure some stuff out. You know, if you guys have suggestions, we can always like play around with it. But I'll get into it a little bit more tomorrow. You guys will see. Yeah, 25. I think you're right. They probably pin it right there. They probably pin it right. They'll close just like Tesla. They're going to close it. I'll bet you anything. They're going to close it right on $1,000. You know, a couple of dollars above or below. Silver, same thing. 25 is a perfect round number for them to close it on. That's where a lot of calls and puts are. They're going to burn out burn out the premium. The SLV looks like about 23 on the SLV. Let's see the GLD. You know, probably 172, 173. You know, so yeah, totally, absolutely. Burry gave up on the inflation trade. He closed his TLT shorts and his TBT long. He was doubled up. He had TBT calls, TLT puts. Obviously, he had Tesla short that he covered. He covered that a little while ago, but he just covered his short on ARK. I mean, this could be, if the market tops here, I mean, he's going to look like the biggest jackass ever. And, you know, I talked about this yesterday. It was Richard Clark, Russell Clark's hedge fund, Permabear hedge fund, closed its doors last week. I mean, this is the type of stuff you see at the very end here. We've got, you know, Rivian, you know, all these IPOs, Hood, Coinbase, you know, DoorDash, these companies that are just like hemorrhaging cash, and they're just being rushed into IPO while there's the liquidity available. You know, just spotting the top is the hardest part, but if there isn't like a major froth in this market, I don't know what froth looks like. But you know, these things can go a lot higher than you think, and spotting the top is very hard. The bottom is a lot easier to find, believe it or not. Calling the bottom is a lot easier to find than calling the top. But yeah, I think we're getting very close. I think probably by the end of the year we'll have topped out, if not by March of next year. So Disca and Viacom were owned by a man named Bill Wang, and he owned GOTU, IQ, AI, Viacom, Disca. What was it? There's a bunch of other Chinese ADRs he had. TME, Tencent. So he leveraged into. I mean, think about this. Like Viacom is like a dividend paying. You know, it's a boring like boomer stock. You know, it's a dividend stock. CBS. It shouldn't be doing this. It should not look like a biotech company, right? Well, he was levered so hard that basically, you know, he was levered to the point where the stock, you know, dipped 10%, and he got called for basically $2 billion. And he lost $2 billion in 2 days on this trade and all these others, Disca. And just, this is the result of that blow up. And that's what happened to, you know, Tencent, AI, IQ, YY, you know, all those ADR. It was all of like telecom, like media stocks that blew up. But he owned a ton of them, and he was way over levered. And the Fed actually had to come in, kind of like, this is what I've been told by sources, but on March 25th, they blew up over the weekend. That was, from what I've told, the Fed did some type of liquidity injection for these banks because they knew that Archegos Capital, which is the fund he was running, was going to blow up over the weekend. And if you look at you know, what was going on here, this was about to roll over. The market was about to roll over here, and they did some liquidity injection on Friday to keep the market from failing. But at least that's, you know, if you want to believe that, you can. But Yeah, it was just a result of over, and that's the thing. Like, there's so much leverage in this system. If there was any more than, you know, this 7% pullback, it's going to trigger so much margin, and that's the thing that I would be cautious about with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Even if inflation runs away and Bitcoin wants to go higher because as an inflation hedge, the problem is leverage. There's crypto, um, you know, brokerages, if you want to call them that, that, will give you like 10-to-1 leverage. And you know how many people are using that? A lot. So when these things trigger margin calls, it's going to hit the whole system. And there's no more leverage than there is in crypto. I mean, crypto is like the risk on of risk on trades. So that's what I worry about with this. The next time there's a panic, it won't matter if the Fed injects liquidity, at least right away. Everybody said, like, remember back in 2020, the Fed actually did their emergency program. I think it was right here. But the market dumped out anyway because of margin calling. It had nothing to do with the Fed. There was just those margin calls had to be satisfied before anything could happen, really. But that's what I would be worried about if I was in crypto right now. So let's look at BGFV. Big Five sporting goods. All these sporting goods stocks have done really well. DKS, ASO, and a lot of that is reopening trade stuff. But yeah, so this one had a really parabolic run here. All right, so it's got decent volume. So I don't know if I would really do anything. I mean, you could take if you were really aggressive, I mean, you could buy this 20 moving average for a pop. It'll probably give you one tomorrow, but I don't know if I'd want to own this. It just looks like this is kind of like a meme type of stock. So I mean, you could use it for that, but it's definitely a runner. I mean, geez, it's had a really amazing run, but a lot of these stocks like this are just, this is what liquidity does to the system. But as far as a swing trade, it probably gets a nice pop off that 20 moving average tomorrow. But I mean, it's just hard to really do much with this one. It's just had such a nice run. I mean, you're gonna have support here, 28, $30. But if it closes below this green bar by the end of the week, it's probably torched. So just, be aware of that. Yeah, let's talk about the VIX. I haven't talked about the VIX in a minute. It's probably going to get down. It probably makes one more low, and then we'll jump on. I'll put it that way. I didn't even think we had a nice little pop here. I thought maybe it could get up to 2050, maybe 21, but I think it's probably going to roll back over. And I think it makes one more low this year, and then we'll get into it. But yeah, I mean, it's getting cheap. I know it's getting cheap. It's getting there. But I think it's got to make one more low there. And like we said, like I was saying back in August and September, I was like, I wanted to go short here, but I just couldn't get a sell signal. I was looking for that, I was looking for, this type of a move. And we never really got that. I was like, the bears need to get punished. They need to get, now we're seeing them get punished. Michael Burry's giving up. We got these bear hedge funds closing. So we're starting to see it. We're starting to see it, but yeah, it's getting close on the VIX. QID, yeah. So I'm still holding that. Nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't even get concerned about it until the Qs take out this pivot high, if they even do that. I feel comfortable having it in the portfolio right now. I'm not worried about it at all. But if it gets to a point where I think it's going to juice really hard and we're gonna have a blow off, I'll let you guys know. So Yeah, leverage and the leverage in the system. And the only thing that worries me, like I was saying earlier about this whole, everybody just expects a Santa Claus rally now. It's like, oh, the seasonalities, it's November, December, it's going to go up. I just, I don't like it when everybody just assumes that we're going to this is going to happen. And it's like, remember, like not even a month ago or like a month ago when everybody was bearish, and now everybody's like, yeah, we're going SPX 5100 by the end of the year, guaranteed, no risk involved. And not to say that it can't happen. And I mean, the charts, they definitely kind of support that theory, but I am a little bit cautious about it. And I mean, maybe this, I've been talking about like, I think we have a pullback maybe to the previous all-time high, and then we have our end of year rally. Maybe this was the pullback for the blow-off move. I mean, it certainly looks like it. I mean, we're going straight up, but we got to watch a few things. I don't think we're quite to euphoric levels yet. We're close. We're close, though. Yeah, Micron's a semi. It has lagged. TSM could be a good one too. This one's had a long consolidation. So this one was just a huge freight train last year. Popped out around the same time that a lot of these names are. But yeah, I mean, if that 20 MA catches up to price, it can probably move. I talked about Amazon as being something I kind of like because of that 20 moving average on the monthly. And Amazon's actually getting a nice pop here. So Amazon could be a runner soon too. Keep that on your radar. Remember I said that too. But Micron, yeah, for sure. It has been a laggard. I like what it did. It came down and tested that green bar. I would have loved it if it got to that 100 moving average. I would have bought it myself if we got to 100 moving average, but it's going to have to test, 82.20. That's going to be your major resistance. And then you got that, if you get above that 50-week moving average, then it can be solid. But yeah, I mean, AMD and NVIDIA are just ridiculous. I mean, this is just absurd. That's a blow off. I mean, like, there's just no way around it. By the way, if Tesla closes down, below $1,000 for the month, that would be a pretty ugly monthly candle. We also have 2 weeks left in the month. Yeah, 2 full weeks left in the month. And we already almost have the same volume as last month. So we're going to have pretty heavy volume this month. So this is going to be a pivotal month for Tesla. And NVIDIA and AMD, I think. DDS, Dentist? No, Dilliard's. Yeah, I mean, geez, yeah, another one. Really running hard. But, I mean, you consolidated nicely. Nice consolidation there. See, then you pull it back and it doesn't look like it consolidated at all. Look at that. That is just ridiculous. Let's just see. 107, and it's at 360. So it's 70% extended from its monthly 20 MA. That's, nothing wrong with that, right? Wow. Like, just some of these names are just... LCID, this one today, is now a bigger company than Ford, apparently. So, because they make electric cars. And apparently Ford will never figure out how to make electric cars. At least that's what people are acting like. Yeah, Burry covered, I think he covered somewhere in here, I think. He covered, I think in September or October. But I think yields are about to break out. And he just covered his long yield play. So if they break out, he's going to look like a buffoon. And if Tesla ends up somehow topping out for the foreseeable future, he's going to look even dumber. But, that's what happens when you're early. And he was early in 2006, 2007, but, he was able to hold on. And I mean, I know like some very successful investors that are short Tesla and have been. But, if you manage your position right and you know how to hedge the position properly, you can you can hang in there for a very long time. But you know, I don't. But it's just funny though. It's like now all the bears are blowing up, and this I said this is what needs to happen before the market tops out. The bears need to get blown up, and they're getting there. Yeah, right. At least DDS has revenue and pro. That's what my biggest annoyance is SE. Like they barely have revenue, and their market cap is like 4 times the size of Electronic Arts. It's like it doesn't make any sense at all. But you know, half this market doesn't make sense at this point. So, but yeah, crazy market. OPEX week. So we should see. I do think we probably fade a little bit tomorrow. We probably gap higher, honestly, and I think they fade that into Friday. But we do have the full moon, so we got to respect that. It's been a really good buy indicator for the market, for the S&P specifically, for quite a while. So, you know, yeah, it's right. It'll be an epic short eventually, but it's you know, how long can you stay solvent for? You know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The sentiment is very bad on the precious metals. And it's amazing. I talked to I think I was talking to somebody last night. I don't remember who. Might have been on someone on Patreon, or I think it was, oh, it was you, Josh. I think it was you. We were talking about was it gold and like lagging inflation. And I was saying, like I said, really, I've been saying for a few months now that gold is, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. This whole move last year was gold pricing in inflation this year. This whole pullback was gold pricing in rate hikes that are coming now, or maybe next year. Now, if gold breaks out, what do you think that's in pricing in for, you know, maybe the year after or later next year? I think gold's actually a lot more ahead of the market than people think. And it's funny, you know, like, oh, gold has failed as an inflation hedge. Oh, okay. Well, look at the SPX versus gold ratio going back to the last 50 years. Look that up. Let's see, DRD. Yeah, all these stocks are doing okay. Yeah, DRD. This one actually looks, you know what I've noticed? If you just calculate it, GDX is actually underperformed GDXJ, and SIL has underperformed SILJ. That is very bullish for the price of gold. Very bullish. The juniors outperforming the seniors, especially at the low of the chart. That's very good. Usually that doesn't happen until gold's already in a bull market. Then you see the juniors start to pass the seniors. When they're at the lows, the juniors doing it, you got to pay attention to that stuff. And then the other thing too, the FUD and the amount of people out there talking about how they're selling gold bullion to buy crypto. It's, oh my God, like, wow, like obviously you don't understand the point of holding gold. Like, the point of holding gold is not necessarily an inflation hedge, but it's a hedge. It's a shit at the fan hedge, basically. That's what it is. That's what 2020 was. Like, why do you think gold dipped in early 2020? It dipped because it was used to cover margin calls. That's why you own it, because it's a store of value. I mean, you're glad to own it here because when you're getting margin called on everything else, when you're getting margin called on American Airlines, you can use your gold to basically keep your fund solvent. That's why you own it. It's a store of value. Yeah, no, I think it's going to. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think the Bitcoin money will rotate back into gold very soon. Very soon. And I tweeted that out. I'm surprised I didn't get any trolls for saying that, but you know, if you say that to the wrong people, you will get absolutely slandered. But that's just a sentiment check for you. But anyways, I'm gonna get going. Really good group tonight. It was really good chat. I'm gonna try and get possibly do one tomorrow too. I'm gonna do a video about the website, a little preview kind of thing, and I'll probably put that up tomorrow. Yeah, canceled. Yeah, yeah. But I'll probably put that up tomorrow in Patreon and give you guys a look at that. But yeah. And anyways, guys, thanks for coming out. It was a good time tonight. Appreciate you all. Take care, and I will talk to you later.